अभी सुन रहा है? ठीक है, डन. सो दिस इज वेयर जियोलॉजिकल पार्ट्स या फिर रॉक्स का रहता है ना, तो वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है. यू शुड हैव एन आइडिया फ्रॉम वेयर एंड हाउ इट हैज बीन स्टार्टेड, राइट है? ठीक है. सो वी कैन से दैट if we take the age of an earth 4.5 billion years till today, 4.5 billion years till today तक, पहले तो this is a phase where you have now fossils. fossils तो नहीं मिलेगा वहां पे. fossil कब से start होता है? somewhere around 560 या 540 million years. so somewhere around 560 million years to till now. तो यहाँ पे you will have fossil evidence. $560 million years, उसके बाद ही we will have the fossil evidences. जैसे coal deposit हो गया, तो this is an area where we have fossil fuels बनता है ना, coal हो गया, petroleum हो गया, natural gas बन गया, and all these are found in which type of rocks? Sedimentary rocks. All these are found in the sedimentary rocks. Now sedimentary rocks are deposited on the surface of earth, on the surface of earth. इसका मतलब उसके नीचे you will have crust, जैसे igneous rocks है, metamorphic rocks है, उसके ऊपर you will find sedimentary rocks are deposited either in the lakes, river valleys, etc. तो नीचे तो metals रहेगा, metalliferous, उसके ऊपर you will find the sedimentary rocks are there on which you find the coal deposit. जैसे coal deposit थलचर में, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि वहाँ पे minerals नहीं है, minerals भी है, उसके साथ साथ you will find coal deposits are also. समझ में आ रहा है? तो on the surface, this is what I wanted to explain to you. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे you will find बहुत सा है. So hence as the age of earth 4.5 billion years यहाँ तक, it is very huge period. To study that, based on many evidences, बहुत से evidences है, based on many evidences, जैसे fossil evidences, ये तो only from this period, उससे पहले तो fossils नहीं था. So based on rocks, तो एक evidence है fossils, based on rocks, that is nature of the rocks. Then based on deposits, based on carbon dating, age calculate करते हैं ना, based on carbon dating, and based on, see, when you cut a tree, then you will have annual rings. जब आप annual rings को count करते हो, then you will have an age of that particular tree. तो उस हिसाब से when you calculate the age of an earth, we call it as dendrochronology, counting the annual rings of a tree. Right, we call it as dendrochronology. Right. So ये सभी evidences, fossil evidences हो गया, rocks का evidence हो गया, nature of the rocks, then deposits, carbon dating, या फिर dendrochronology. Based on all these things, entire earth is divided into different segments. उसको हम कहते हैं chronostratigraphic chart of earth. Chronology, stratigraphy, chronostratigraphic chart of the earth. So based on this, we call it as chronostratigraphic chart of earth. It means the age of earth जो है ना, ऐसा chronology बनाते हैं उसका, chronostratigraphic chart of earth. Chronostratigraphic chart of the earth, chronology, and it is from 4.5 billion years up to today. ये तो बहुत बड़ा सा है. So hence this entire chronostratigraphic chart is subdivided into 5 parts, right? So सबसे बड़ा जो है we call it as eons. Eons are subdivided into era, and eras are subdivided into periods. Cambrian period. Now periods are subdivided into epoch, and epochs are subdivided into ages. Epoch is subdivided into ages. Eons subdivided into eras. eras को हम periods में subdivide करते हैं, periods को epochs में करते हैं, and epochs are subdivided into age. Is it clear? ठीक है. तो ये eon is subdivided into 2 parts, जहां पे fossils है, without the fossils, with fossils and without the fossils. समझ में आ रहा है? So first we'll try to understand something about eons. So entire eon is classified. ये eon जो है, eon, no fossils and something which is having fossil evidences. So no fossils matlab they are the oldest rocks without any fossils. The moment when the earth gets solidified, crust जब बनता है ना, तो we call it as the beginning of the rocks. जैसे Archean rocks कहते हैं ना, Archean rocks are the oldest one, right? So we call them into something which is called as the Hadean period. Hadean rocks or Hadean, and then Archean rocks, and then Proterozoic. So when we say in Odisha, certain rocks are there which are Proterozoic, certain rocks are Archean rocks. Peninsular India is made up of Archean rocks. Peninsular India is made up of Archean rocks. So it means it is in the beginning stage. समझ में आ रहा है? So it is somewhere around 4 billion years old, 2 billion years old, 3 billion years old. Right. Now when you talk about these, ये सब जो है, it is all before that 560 million years. These all are the first rocks. जैसे धारवाड़ rock कहता है ना example. So these all are the earth crust which is made up of. Then slowly when the fossil evidences were started, उस eon को हम कहते हैं Phanerozoic era. We call it as Phanerozoic era. Sorry, Phanerozoic eon. Phanerozoic eon. So 2 eons are there, non-fossils and fossils. Archean, Proterozoic and Hadean, no fossils. So Odisha rocks consist of this. In fact, 75% of Odisha rocks are these, Proterozoic. Old rocks, 3 billion years. अगर आप Singhbhum craton देखोगे ना, so it is somewhere around 3.8 to 4 billion years old. If you take Singhbhum craton, on which Odisha is there, you will find the rocks which are 3.8 to 4 billion years old. So बहुत पुराने rocks हैं. 75% is made up of these old rocks only. ठीक है. Now Phanerozoic eon मतलब it is the phase where we find fossil evidences are there. So fossil evidence मतलब कहाँ से आ जाएगा? 541 million years up to today. 541 million years up to today. यह है आपका Phanerozoic eon. Right. Now Phanerozoic eon is subdivided into era. Eons are subdivided into era. ये eon हो गया. तो at present we are in which eon? Phanerozoic eon. Now zoic मतलब क्या होता है? Zoology, animal evidences. So this Phanerozoic eon is subdivided into 3 periods based on fossil evidences. समझ में आ रहा? So Phanerozoic eon is subdivided into 3 eras based on fossil evidences. So in Odisha also you will find fossil evidences. Now, when the life started, यहाँ पे 3 eras है. सबसे पहला जो है where we have primitive fossils. Primitive उसको हम कहते हैं Paleozoic, Paleolithic, Old Stone Age, right? So you will have Paleozoic era. Paleozoic era. Primitive fossils. And this was dominant by the animals which can move on the land and on the water also. कौन सा है वो? Amphibians. It was dominant by amphibians. Paleozoic era. Then slowly complex animals were created. Then we find that थोड़ा सा complex animals बना, intermediate fossils. उसको हम कहते हैं Mesozoic era, intermediate fossils. Mesozoic era, intermediate fossils. Now intermediate fossil is something which is dominant by reptiles, Jurassic, Triassic. So it is dominance of reptiles. Dinosaurs, largest reptiles roamed on the earth. ठीक है. Then third one is very complex life activities which started on the earth. If you gone through current affairs, somewhere around 66 million years, 2 big things happened. एक तो है huge amount of meteorites collided with the earth and Deccan Peninsula में volcanic eruption. So due to huge collision of meteorites, बड़ा सा meteorites जो है, जो earth के ऊपर गिर जाता है, बहुत बड़े बड़े, तब क्या हो जाता है? That created, when it falls on the water, it created the waves of 3 kilometers. I'm not talking about meters. 3 kilometer, 4 kilometer बड़ा tsunami waves बना देता है. And also it released large amount of gases. And that is associated with killing all the maximum life on the earth. उसको हम कहते हैं mass extinction. And it was during 66 million years ago. And this is something called as 5th mass extinction, which removed the reptiles and which gave rise to the mammals. Complex lifestyle. उसको हम कहते हैं Cenozoic era. So the third one is very complex, which is Cenozoic era. Right. That is the modern and complex fossils are there. And this is dominant by mammals. Right. And this phase, when the entire reptiles or huge reptiles were removed, उसको ही हम कहते हैं 5th mass extinction of the earth. So after the 5th mass extinction, it replaced the dominance of reptiles by mammals. 5th mass extinction जो था ना, it removed the reptiles and then slowly the mammals were seen. And ये कब से start है? 66 million years till today. So the Cenozoic era is 66 million years ago. And till today we are in that. right? So Paleozoic is 541 million years. Paleozoic, old fossils, 541 million years up to 252 million years. 252 million years. Paleozoic, old fossils, amphibians, fish, वो सब है ना. And then Mesozoic, reptiles, that is 252 to 66 million years. $66 million years. And then Cenozoic, 66 million years to today, up to today. So we are in Cenozoic era. And कौन सा eon? Phanerozoic eon. Phanerozoic eon में we are in the Cenozoic era. समझ में आ गया? Now eras are subdivided into periods. तो इन सब का period रहेगा ना? Fossil evidences and all. So Paleozoic, Mesozoic and Cenozoic, they all have their own periods. समझ में आ रहा है? So first we'll understand Paleozoic. ये prelims के लिए, not for the mains. Now Paleozoic era is subdivided into periods. Now Paleozoic era में जो periods है उसमें सबसे पहला पीरियड है कैम्ब्रियन पीरियड. कैम्ब्रियन एक्सप्लोजन, कैम्ब्रियन एक्सप्लोजन एंड कैम्ब्रियन पीरियड. तो इसी को हम कहते हैं कैम्ब्रियन पीरियड में विच गॉट एक्सप्लोजन एंड ऑल द मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स आ गया. कौन सा? कैम्ब्रियन पीरियड, राइट. एंड देन आफ्टर कैम्ब्रियन पीरियड वी आर हैविंग समथिंग विच इज रेफर्ड एज ओर्डिविशियन. सो यू डोंट हैव टू बाय हार्ट देम, बट याद रखना पड़ेगा, which are associated with coal deposits and all. Ordovician. Then Ordovician के बाद Silurian. Silurian. Then Devonian period. Devonian period. Then we have something called as Carboniferous. Carboniferous coal कहते हैं ना. Carboniferous coal मतलब ये नहीं कि उसमें ज्यादा कार्बन है. Carboniferous coals are those coals which are developed during Carboniferous period. Carboniferous period, era नहीं, period. Carboniferous. And last is Permian. Permian period. So these are the periods associated with the Paleozoic era. Carboniferous, Permian and all. ठीक है. Now ये जो period है ना, Carboniferous and Permian, यहाँ तो मेटाजोन्स आ गया पूरा, कॉम्प्लेक्स एनिमल लाइफ आ गया. कार्बोनिफेरस एंड पर्मियंस में जो डिपॉजिट हो गया ना, वी फाइंड रिच कोल डिपॉजिट्स आर देयर. सो गोंडवाना कोल्स आर ऑफ दिस पीरियड. इंडिया में जो गोंडवाना कोल्स है ना, दे आर ऑफ दिस पीरियड. गोंडवाना कोल्स इन इंडिया और ऑफ विच पीरियड? कार्बोनिफेरस एंड पर्मियन पीरियड. ये फर्स्ट है, ये बाद में आ जाता है स्लोली, राइट. And यही deposits you will find in the Thalcher. So the Thalcher coal deposits in Odisha are also Carboniferous and Permian. Thalcher deposits है ना Odisha में, they are also of Carboniferous and Permian on the bank of Brahmani river. So इस जगह पे इस टाइम में जो भी डेवलप हो गया ना, so they are very rich with the coal perspective, carbon perspective. Carboniferous कहते हैं, does not mean that it is rich in carbon. It is that period. It is that period. समझ में आ गया? So this is Paleozoic period. Primitive fossils. याद रहेगा ना? So these are the coal deposits. So it is beginning of fossil evidences. यहाँ जो भी रॉक्स है इस टाइम के, यू विल ऑलवेज फाइंड द फॉसिल एविडेंसेस इन, ठीक है, एंड इट इज फ्रॉम 541 टू 252 मिलियन ईयर्स, 541 टू 252 मिलियन ईयर्स। हम कहते हैं ना गोंडवाना कोल इज मोर देन 200 मिलियन ईयर्स, गोंडवाना कोल इज 300 मिलियन ईयर्स ओल्ड, ये है। Is it clear? Now इसके बाद मेसोजोइक which is the, ये याद रखना पड़ेगा आपको, because that becomes your general geography. This is concerned to the state. Now Mesozoic means intermediate. Mesozoic means intermediate. So Mesozoic में you will find 3 periods are there, and this is where reptiles were dominant. Reptiles were dominant. So hence you will find Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. Triassic, Jurassic. Now Jurassic is referred as golden age of reptiles. Reptile. And then crustaceans. Crabs वो सब आता है ना, crustaceans. Mesozoic. So these are the 3 periods of Mesozoic era. 3 periods of Mesozoic era. Then last complex कौन सा life है? Cenozoic, the modern one. It is dominant by reptiles. ये तो reptiles dominant हो गया। ये 5th mass extinction के बाद जो भी बनता है उसको we call it as Cenozoic era. After 5th mass extinction, we are having something called as Cenozoic era. Now at present we are in which era? Cenozoic era. ठीक है। Now Cenozoic era also consists of 2 periods. Any idea कौन सा periods है Cenozoic era? अच्छा, छोड़ दीजिए उसमें से। Within the Cenozoic era, we are there in the Quaternary period. Sorry, Quaternary period एक है, Quaternary period. And then we have something Himalaya banana, tertiary rocks, tertiary period. So हम कहते हैं ना Himalayas are tertiary period. Himalayan rocks are tertiary period. 60 million years old, 66 million years old. Example, Himalayan rocks. ठीक है। Now period is subdivided into epoch. So Quaternary period is subdivided into 2 epochs. Tertiary Himalayas, उसके बाद Quaternary. Quaternary में you will find Homo sapiens, human beings evolve होता है ना। We moved from apes to human beings. Bipeds, sorry, quadruped से biped बन गए. We started moving on the earth and all. तो ये quaternary period में बन जाता है. Evolution of human being. Right. Now quaternary period is subdivided into 2 epochs. Now we are in the quaternary period and it has 2 epochs. It has 2 epochs. एक है what we call it as Pleistocene and Holocene epoch. Pleistocene, तो यहाँ पे very well development of Homo sapiens. शिवालिक्स में आप deposits देखते हैं ना, mammal deposits of शिवालिक्स, they are of Pleistocene epochs. शिवालिक्स कहाँ पर है? हिमालय का लास्ट स्टेज, Greater Himalayas, Middle Himalayas and Shivaliks. So in the Shivaliks we find the fossil evidences of Pleistocene epoch. Pleistocene epoch. And very well and significantly जो human beings completely develop हो गया, we call it as Holocene epoch. Holocene epoch. Evolution of human beings पढ़ते हैं ना, Pleistocene से Holocene. So at present we are in Holocene epoch. ठीक है, यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया? So eons, era, period and epoch. Done? Now यहाँ पे you will have some current affairs. Holocene epoch. Can we move further? ठीक है, तो Holocene epoch में क्या हो जाता है? ये सब है, all these are based on certain types of global phenomenon. ये इंडिया का नहीं, it is global phenomenon. अर्थ में जो भी चेंज होता है ना क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस में, so then we mark it. जैसे कलयुग, त्रेता युग, द्वापर युग कहते हैं, it is based on certain changes. Yes or no? When you read Indian history, ancient, medieval, modern कहते हैं, it is based on the changes which were seen in India. World history में they are different. So in the same way, जब आप द्वापर युग, त्रेता युग कहते हो, characteristics are different. So यहाँ पे भी you will find there are significant changes which have been seen, and based on that the new naming has been done. नया नाम कर देते हैं. तो यहाँ पे Holocene epoch जो था, पहले it was divided into two ages. ये जो epoch है ना, so these epochs are subdivided into age. The fifth one we call it as age. तो यहाँ पे आप समझ लीजिए, somewhere 4,200 years ago, 4,200 years ago, अब से entire earth faced mega drought. Entire earth experienced mega drought. मेगा ड्रॉट. सो इसका एविडेंस रहता है ना, रेनफॉल कम हो जाएगा, माइग्रेशन हो जाएगा, राइट? सो इट गेव मेनी एविडेंसेस लाइक चेंज इन द रेनफॉल, माइग्रेशन. सो बहुत सा माइग्रेशन हो गया था वहां पे, हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन से पहले की बात कर रहा हूँ. माइग्रेशंस वेयर देयर, ह्यूज माइग्रेशंस वेयर देयर. जो रेनफॉल कम हो गया था, इट इज समथिंग विच क्लाइमेटिक पैटर्न हैज अल्टर्ड, राइट? So it created a change in the climatic pattern. Change in climatic pattern. Now समझ लीजिए, weather is short term period. सुबह में बारिश नहीं हो रहा है, शाम को बारिश हो रहा है. We call it as change in the weather. We don't say change in the climate. When the data is changed for 30 years, 40 years, we say change in the climate. So here there was an indication of change in the climate. 100 years, 200 years का data restore किया था. 100 and 200 years का data, rainfall pattern was experienced, where huge entire earth experienced the mega drought, which led to migrations and all these migrations. And कब था? 4,200. So it means that entire earth moved into different. So that is the reason why this age from 4,200 years where the entire earth experienced. So in the year 2020, they named this as a separate age. And this age, अगर आप US में भी हो, अफ्रीका में भी हो, कहीं पे भी हो, this age which we entered in the year 2020-21 is called as Meghalayan age. So at present we are in the Meghalayan age. Meghalayan age. Now यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन बनता है, Meghalayan age क्यों? Why it is Meghalayan? Entire USA, entire Earth at present is in Meghalayan age. Now the reason is, ये जो climatic fluctuation जो record था, it was identified in one of the caves of Meghalaya. उस केव को हम मौमला केव कहते हैं. इट वॉज आइडेंटिफाइड इन वन ऑफ द केव्स ऑफ मेघालय. वहां पे उसका print it was seen, which shows the evidences of the mega drought which was experienced in the entire earth. And as it was identified in Meghalaya, to commemorate that, we name that as Meghalayan age. So it means that we are in the Meghalayan age. And ये age कब से start हो गया? From 4200 years till now. So 4200 years से अब तक, 4200 years ago say till today we are in Meghalayan age. We are in the Meghalayan age. समझ में आ गया? Now I have given a literature on this. Understand this part. Proterozoic, Archean and Hadean. यहाँ पे you don't find any fossils. Phanerozoic consists of fossils. So all the eons are classified into era, subdivided into era. So Cenozoic, Mesozoic and Paleozoic. Dominant by amphibians, reptiles, mammals. Cambrian explosion. Carboniferous. So ये जो है ओडिशा कोल, गोंडवाना कोल, Cretaceous, recent one. Quaternary, इसको हम कहते हैं tertiary. Himalayan rocks, tertiary. Now this is divided into epochs: Holocene, Pleistocene. Now we are in Holocene epoch. Now Holocene epoch में we are in the Meghalayan age. So we are in Phanerozoic eon, Cenozoic era, Quaternary period, Holocene epoch and Meghalayan age. समझ में आ रहा है? So it is from 4.5 billion years till today. 4.5 billion years till today. ये जो है it is called as the fifth mass extinction, which replaced reptiles with mammals. समझ में आ रहा है? So this is how the chronology is. Now Odisha का rocks जो है they are of Proterozoic also, they are of this age also. समझ में आ गया? So this is what you have to remember. अगर जनरल ज्योग्राफी में भी पूछता है तो सेम रहेगा, ओडिशा में भी सेम रहेगा. ठीक है, सिंगबूम क्रेटॉन्स वो सब यहां से आ जाता है. एंड यू हैव एविडेंस फ्रॉम दिस रीजन आल्सो. ठीक है, एंड थलचर कोल डिपॉजिट्स जो है यहां से, सॉरी यहां से पर्मियन एंड कार्बोनिफेरस. ठीक है, now this is what ये जो है ना स्टैलेक्साइट्स में, यहाँ पे they have found the evidences, Maumala caves in Meghalaya. So from 4200 years till present we are in the Meghalayan age. So ये आपका जनरल ज्योग्राफी, but still you can remember in your studies. समझ में आ गया? डन? ओके. एनीवे ये आपके पास है, बट स्टिल रिमेंबर दिस. अब याद रहेगा ना, क्रोनोस्ट्रैटिग्राफिक चार्ट ऑफ द अर्थ, इयॉन, एरा, पीरियड, इपोक, एज. प्रीलिम्स में कुछ भी पूछा, हिमालयाज टेरिशरी पीरियड, हिमालयाज टेरिशरी पीरियड. और इफ यू सी अरावलीज, अरावली टेरिशरी पीरियड का है क्या? अरावली इज वेरी ओल्ड. प्रोटीरोजोइक, प्रोटीरोजोइक. Is it clear? Okay. Now before moving down to this, something like this, if you see the Odisha peninsular region, हम कहते हैं ना Odisha is part of peninsular India. Odisha is part of peninsular India कहते हैं. But peninsular India is made up of very old rocks, fusion of cratons. यहाँ पे peninsular India जो है ना, it is made up of 5 cratons. Peninsular India जो है, it is made up of, जैसे when you see plate tectonic theory, continents they merge and they diverge also. So it is formed by merging, fusion of continents. So peninsular India is formed by fusion of continents. बहुत पहले, some billion years back. So that's why we find जैसे we find this Aravalli Craton and Bundelkhand Craton है ना, ये भी continent है, ये भी continent है. Collision of continent and continent will create a fold mountain. So that is what created Aravalli Craton and Bundelkhand collision से Aravalli mountain बना, old mountain, right? So fusion of Aravalli and Bundelkhand created Aravalli mountain. Aravalli mountain, fold mountain, बहुत पुराना mountain, very old mountain, fusion. So here we find Aravalli Craton, Bundelkhand Craton, then Singhbhum Craton, then Bastar Craton, then Dharwad Craton. So these are the 5 cratons. And Odisha is sitting on this Mahanadi rift. Mahanadi river है ना, तो थोड़ा सा बस्तार के ऊपर है, थोड़ा सा Singhbhum Craton. So on this Odisha sits. समझ में आ रहा है? Odisha is on the Bastar Craton and Singhbhum Craton, and it is divided by a rift which is called as Mahanadi Rift Valley. समझ में आ रहा है? So it means that these cratons were there, and then peninsular plate started moving towards northern side. Towards northern side. Now western part of India Australia से collide कर दिया था ना, so continent and continent collision will create which type of mountain? Fold mountains. So यहाँ पे that created Eastern Ghats. So Eastern Ghats are fold mountains. ये पूरा Eastern Ghats है. So in the eastern side of Odisha you will have the Eastern Ghats mobile belt. Mobile belt मतलब endogenic process which makes it to uplift and break. Now in the geologically history of Odisha, this Eastern Ghats has uplifted 3 times. 3 बार ऊपर की तरफ उठा है. So this Eastern Ghat has uplifted 3 times. एक up to 300 meters, then up to 600 meters, then उसके बाद 1100 meters तक. So 3 times upliftment has been taken place in Odisha, Eastern Ghats, and it is also billion years old, more than 2 billion years old. ठीक है. So coastal area है, mountain है, Eastern Ghats, then we are having slopes. ये uniform नहीं है, we find slopes are there. समझ में आ रहा है? So this is how these cratons were there. Then we find this region which is called as Eastern Ghat mobile belt. So because of this, a huge area of Odisha is covered by Eastern Ghats, 19 districts, जहाँ पे upliftment हो गया है, upliftment हो गया. Is it clear? So can we move further? मैं बताता हूँ इसको in a very simple logic way. I'll tell. So because of these things, everything is there. Because of these things, if you take Odisha आप देखोगे ना, if you take this as a plain region, now Odisha का आप height देखोगे, it is not uniform. You have something called as upliftment in the form of Eastern Ghats, उसको हम कहते हैं Central Highlands, Central Highlands, which is dominant part. और यहाँ पे you will find coastal area, जैसे rivers कट करके coastal बनाता है ना, and again you will have slopes in this area, rolling plateaus, western, ये तो पूरा ईस्टर्न साइड है, दिस इज वेस्टर्न साइड, हम कहते हैं ना वेस्टर्न रोलिंग प्लेन्स, और यहाँ पे यू विल फाइंड मेनी इरोशंस हैव टेकन प्लेस. जब इरोशन कर देगा then mountains are converted into hills and hills are converted into plateaus. So much of the areas in Odisha is formed by erosion, plateaus बना है, hills बना है, right? So here we find large amount of erosion was there. जैसे large areas are there, we call it as mountain. Now mountain मतलब क्या होता है? Whose height is more than 600 meters and who are having steep slopes. Right? We call it as the mountains. Now, if any elevated area, if it is having gentle slopes and less than 600 meters, हम उसको कहते हैं hills. तो यहाँ पे we have Eastern Ghat mountains and many hills are there. Huge erosion takes place. Top portion of the hills will become flat. उसको हम कहते हैं plateaus. So you will find dominance of plateaus. So Odisha has plateaus. Odisha has hills. Odisha has mountains, higher elevated areas with steep slopes. और mountain के पास you will find the areas which are having gentle slopes. इसको हम कहते हैं rolling plateaus और rolling hills, western rolling hills. बहुत gentle slope रहता है यहाँ पे, rolling plateaus. समझ में आ रहा है? So we have plateaus also, which is created by erosion. We have hills also, Gandhamardhan hills, erosion, steep slopes, biodiversity, rich heritage. ठीक है? And then we are having rolling plains also. समझ में आ गया? Then along with that, जब ईस्टर्न घाट ऊपर की तरफ उठा ना, 3 times when it made an upliftment, there are some rivers which maintained their directions in spite of upliftment. They maintained their original directions. उसको हम कहते हैं antecedent rivers. We'll see that later. Antecedent rivers कहते हैं, which are not changed their direction. रिवर स्टार्ट हो गया, ईस्टर्न घाट्स उठ रहा है, उसको कट करके रिवर पर है. जैसे महानदी रिवर है, महानदी रिवर इज फ्लोइंग, ईस्टर्न घाट इज मेकिंग एन अपलिफ्टमेंट, बट द strength of Mahanadi is more stronger than upliftment. So it has cut the eastern ghats and it has created a valley, and valley has converted into gorge. कौन सा gorge है वो? सतकोशिया gorge, created by Mahanadi, Satkoshiya gorge, Satkoshiya tiger reserves. Geological process. समझ में आ रहा है? So this is how we find many rivers have cut the large mountains and created steep valleys also. समझ में आ रहा है? Then along with that, when you read geography and physiographic divisions of Odisha, you will come across something called as interflues. Right? Interflue क्या होता है? Majority of the areas is referred as interflues. Interflue मतलब, if this is a big mountain is there or elevated area is there, Now if a river is flowing on this mountain, if a river is flowing on this mountain, ये इसको तो कट करेगा ना, erode करेगा. So it will erode this mountain area. It will erode this mountain area. So it will be something like this. Right. So ये जो area है ना, uplifted area between the two rivers, river streams R1 and R2, इसको हम कहते हैं इंटरफ्लो. रिवर बेसिन्स के बीच वाला जो लैंड है ना, उसको हम कहते हैं इंटरफ्लूस. जैसे ये एक रिवर का ट्रिब्यूटरी है, एक रिवर का ट्रिब्यूटरी है. It will cut the mountain and ultimately it will reduce this area into small parts. तो ये एक रिवर हो गया, एक रिवर हो गया. Right. So this area in between that we call it as interflows. जैसे the area between Budabalanga and Baitarni, the area between Baitarni and Brahmani, right? The area between Rishikulya and the Brahmani river, so Mahanadi river. So उसको हम कहते हैं interflows. Interflows. So you will find many interflows are there. यहाँ पे agriculture activity चलता है. Rice cultivation is done, right? Oil seed cultivation is done. So it is having interflows. Interflows. Now interflows को भी हम कहते हैं watershed also because it is separating two river basins. एक river इस side है, एक river other side है. So it can also be referred as watershed. Watershed. So watershed का एक statement लिख लीजिए. Interflows or watershed. Interflow or watershed. Any elevated area which is separating two river basins, is referred as watershed. Is referred as watershed. Right. Watershed. Any elevated area which separates the two river basins is called as watershed. Right. Bracket में आप उसको interflow भी लिख लीजिए. So interflows can be a watershed. Interflow is created by cutting up of rivers. Interflow is created by cutting up of the valleys by rivers. समझ में आ गया? Right. तो यहाँ पे you will find 6 major rivers which have cut the eastern ghats and they have created the upliftment. उसको हम कहते हैं interflows. समझ में आ गया? So जब upliftment होता है, there are some rivers which have maintained their original direction. उसको हम कहते हैं antecedent rivers. The dominant are Mahanadi and Brahmani. So these are the two antecedent rivers of Odisha. एक है ब्राह्मणी, दूसरा है महानदी. They are antecedent rivers. जब रिवर्स का आएगा मैं I'll tell you about that. लेकिन थोड़े से ऐसे रिवर्स भी हैं, जैसे ही लैंड ऊपर उठेगा, then from there they will become a source of many rivers. So that's why Eastern Ghat has become source of many rivers also. Eastern Ghat से थोड़े से रिवर्स है जो origin होते हैं, which move towards the coastal areas. समझ में आ रहा है? Some rivers have cut the Eastern Ghats and they are developed the gorges. जैसे महानदी हो गया and then Brahmani river. But there are some rivers which have originated after the upliftment and started flowing towards that recent rivers comparatively. Is it clear? So this is how the river and geology perspectives are seen in Odisha. So Odisha has interflows. Odisha has plateaus, rolling plains, hills and mountains also. Physiographic division में ये मिलेगा. And along with that, in the coastal areas, we find the rivers deposits in the form of deltas. So in the coastal areas, you will find the deltas. यहाँ पे deposit करेगा ना, उसको हम कहते हैं deltas. So here you find erosion is also there, deposition is also there. Erosion has created plateaus and interflues, and the deposition has created deltas, flood plains, etc. तो दोनों तरह के लैंडफॉर्म्स आपको यहाँ पे मिलेगा, इरोजनल लैंडफॉर्म भी मिलेगा एंड डेपोजिशनल लैंडफॉर्म भी मिलेगा। समझ में आ गया? ओके, इज इट क्लियर? ओके, नाउ लास्ट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस इज, जब आप कोस्टल एरिया पढ़ते हो ना, तो वहां पे यू विल फाइंड समथिंग विच इज वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ योर स्टडीज। यहां पे एक टर्म आता है मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन, मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन। नो, मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन मतलब क्या है? मराइन मतलब ओशन, ओशन वाटर जब लैंड की तरफ आता है उसको हम कहते हैं मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन, मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन। सो लिख लीजिए, इट इज inundation, inundation means entry, it is inundation or entry of ocean water on land area, inundation or entry of ocean water on the land area, either by subsidence of the land अगर झुक गया तो पानी आएगा ना, either by subsidence of land, और एक रीजन क्या हो सकता है? subsidence of land और rise in the sea level, rise in the sea level. Now it is not one time, it is for millions of years. अगर कोई भी लैंड ओशन के नीचे 2 मिलियन 3 मिलियन साल तक रहेगा तो वहां पे फॉसिल डिपॉजिट करिएगा ना, इट विल क्रिएट फॉसिल डिपॉजिट। वो फॉसिल किस टाइप का होगा? मराइन फॉसिल्स। सो दे विल डेवलप विच टाइप ऑफ फॉसिल्स? मराइन फॉसिल्स। Marine fossils, and these marine fossils are rich in fossil fuels, petroleum, shale oil, right, and coal. Sometimes you will find a rich deposit of natural gas also. Marine fossils rahega, which will have the deposition of petroleum, which will have deposition of natural gas. Sometimes shale gas bhi rahega, petroleum, natural gas will be there. इसको हम कहते हैं मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशंस, मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशंस, ठीक है। नाउ समथिंग एसोसिएटेड विद दिस, लिंक्ड विद इंडिया एंड लिंक्ड विद ओडिशा आल्सो। ये टर्म समझ में आ गया? ओके, नाउ कैन वी मूव फर्दर? ठीक है। नो नहीं, ये बहुत नीचे का बात है। ग्राउंड वाटर का सैलिनेशन इज डिफरेंट थिंग, दिस इज डिफरेंट, राइट? नाउ ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस पोर्शन। नाउ दिस इज द यूरेशियन प्लेट, right? Now this was peninsular plateau of India, peninsular region, fusion of continents, Singhbhum crater, ये सब बन गया था। And at that time you had Eastern Ghats also, Aravalli was also there, and यहाँ पे this part is called as Odisha, which is having Singhbhum plateau and Singhbhum and Bastar. Odisha भी यहीं पे था, it was the peninsular region. Now this peninsular plateau, it started moving towards Eurasian plate. Now on the other side, water bodies are there, oceans है ना, other side. Now this plate when it is moving, ये ऐसा थोड़ी मूव करेगा कि स्ट्रेट विदाउट टिल्टेशन, बोट की तरह थोड़ी मूव करेगा। मिलियन ईयर्स टाइम में एक बार इस साइड झुकेगा, एक बार इस साइड झुकेगा। जब ये इस साइड झुकेगा तो ओशन वाटर यहाँ आ जाएगा ना, ओशन ट्रांसग्रेशन। फिर थोड़ी दिन के बाद, millions of years, this portion will tilt on the other side. So here also you will find the marine water will enter till it collided with this part. So marine transgressions हो गया था. That is the reason why in India we find the marine transgressions are seen in Brahmaputra river valley. Brahmaputra में आपको मिलता है ना coal deposits and all. So we find that marine transgression in India, if you take Indian part, अभी का इंडियन पार्ट में बता रहा हूं, right? So this is the peninsular part of India, peninsular part of India. Now when the marine transgression was there, तो इस portion में you find marine deposits are there. So in the Brahmaputra region, Digboi वो सब है ना, they all are marine deposits, marine deposits, Brahmaputra, all these. और this portion of Odisha also has marine transgression, उसको हम कहते हैं कटक शेल्फ, कटक शेल्फ ओडिशा का ये है ना. So this is कटक शेल्फ. Katak shelf, marine transgression. Now the same you will find in this region, उसको हम कहते हैं केजी बेसिन, कृष्णा गोदावरी रिवर बेसिन, कृष्णा गोदावरी रिवर बेसिन. ये भी मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन है, मराइन केजी बेसिन, कृष्णा गोदावरी रिवर बेसिन, और सॉरी कृष्णा गोदावरी बेसिन, वहां पे रिवर नहीं, केजी बेसिन, मराइन. व्हेन दैट प्लेट टिल्टेड, तो मिलियंस ऑफ ईयर्स पानी में रहेगा ना, तो मराइन डिपॉजिट वहां पे आ जाता है, कृष्णा गोदावरी बेसिन. नाउ सेम यू विल फाइंड इन मुंबई हाई, मुंबई हाई, एंड देन these regions of Kutch. Now Rajasthan, Barmar, Burma में भी you find the oil deposits are there. कैसा? Because of marine transgression. Barmar region in Rajasthan. Barmar regions in Rajasthan. ये सब जो है marine transgressions, all primitive deposits. When Indian plate started moving towards Eurasian plate की तरफ जाएगा ना ये प्लेट, तो मिलियन ईयर्स के लिए इस टाइप टिल्ट हो जाएगा, तो राजस्थान की तरफ. इसलिए इफ यू सी राजस्थान ना, वहाँ पे स्लोप्स है इस तरफ. यू विल फाइंड मेनी सलाइन लेक्स आर देयर इन राजस्थान विच आर फॉर्म्ड बाय रिसेशन ऑफ ए सी वाटर, रिसेशन ऑफ ए सी वाटर. उसको हम कहते हैं, वी कॉल देम एज सांबर लेक, देख लीजिए, राइट. सो विच आर सलाइन लेक्स ओनली, प्लाया लेक्स हम कहते हैं ना उसको, प्लाया लेक्स, right, dhandas, right, which is the movement of ocean water downward. It shows an indication of that. अब बर्मार में where you find large fossil fuels because of these things only, उसको हम कहते हैं marine transgression. So in India we find marine transgression in Rajasthan, Kutch region, Mumbai High, KG basin, Brahmaputra वहाँ पे in Assam, and then Katak shelf in Odisha. तो ओडिशा का some area was there which was below the ocean at some time. A part of Odisha was below the ocean for some time, and during that time volcanic eruption भी हो जाता है ना, and volcanic eruption which takes place inside the water, उसको हम कहते हैं subaqueous volcano, aquatic subaqueous volcano, subaqueous volcano. याद रखना टर्म, समझ में आ गया terminologies. Right, so we have all these things associated with Odisha's relief features and geographical aspect. कटक शेल्फ में फिलहाल ज्यादा तो नहीं है, बट स्टिल वी फाइंड जो नॉर्दर्न कोस्टल कहता है ना, नॉर्दर्न कोस्टल में रहेगा. नॉर्दर्न कोस्ट ऑफ ओडिशा इज मेड ऑफ मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन. नॉर्दर्न कोस्ट ओडिशा का फिजियोग्राफिक डिवीजन देखोगे ना, नॉर्थ, मिडल एंड साउथ कोस्ट है. सो नॉर्दर्न कोस्ट इज मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन, कटक. वहां पे यू विल फाइंड ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मैंग्रोव्स डोमिनेंट इन दैट एरियाज. समझ में आ गया? इज इट क्लियर? ओके, नाउ वी विल, यस, अंडर वाटर द वाटर मैं बताता हूँ. यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया? ओके, नाउ विल मूव ऑन टू फैक्चुअल डेटा. ये समझ में आ गया अभी? द क्रेटॉन्स, वेस्टर्न घाट्स, गोदावरी, and then Narmada, sorry, Godavari, and then we are having Mahanadi basins, and this is how the rivers, they have cut that interflows, cutting them and moving. ठीक है? So remember Eastern Ghats mobile belt, Bastar and Singhbhum cratons. ठीक है? Now you read this. The state of Odisha comprises dominantly of Precambrian. 73% of area from Mesoarchean to Proterozoic. समझ में आ रहा है अभी ये स्टेटमेंट? When they ask in the statement, you should mark it very correctly. Is it done? No. Phanerozoic rocks मतलब fossils. %8 of the states. Right. Remaining 19% is quaternary formation. Quaternary मतलब क्या है? Latest. Quaternary अभी का जो है ना, right? So they are delta जैसे शिवालिक्स में, and more specifically it is Mahanadi, Brahmani and Baitarni river system. समझ में आ रहा है ना statements अभी, right? Then the Precambrian of the states comprises two major cratonic domains, right? And the Eastern Indian craton and Bastar craton. Eastern Indian मतलब Singhbhum craton, right? And bordering the mobile belt. कौन सा mobile belt है? Eastern Ghat mobile belt. ठीक है? Geology of that. The cratons are supracrustal rocks, मतलब which become the base for the continent. Volcanic activities. Eastern Ghat mobile belts are made up of granulitic rocks such as condylite. याद नहीं करना, but condylite is also a type of a rock. And charnokic, etc. Prelims में पूछा तो mark it very correctly. Geology का पूछा तो, right? 4.2 million years we find large amount of rocks. 4.2 billion years, million नहीं, billion years old. Zircon, a type of a mineral. Zircon rocks are found in Kendujhar. कहाँ पे? Champua. Of Singhbhum craton. So Singhbhum craton is around 4 billion years old. समझ में आ रहा है? जैसे यूरेनियम होता ना, वैसे जिरकॉन मिनरल है वहां पे. Facts, मेंस के लिए नहीं, for prelims, for your prelims. The geology, अब इतना भी समझ लोगे, that is more than sufficient for you to mark it very correctly in your prelim stage. समझ में आ गया? Okay. Now, billion है, don't miss that. Now this is something which you have to remember. Pillow lava of Nomira in Kendujhar district. Now the pillow lava is significant geological structure. Subaqueous volcano. Subaqueous volcano मतलब the volcanic activity which takes place inside the water. ये कब बना था? When the Odisha plate was inside the ocean. Tiltation था. तो subaqueous volcano means the volcanic activity inside the water. करंट अफेयर्स में पूछे तो. इंडिविजुअल पिलोस, एलिप्साइडल, इस टाइप के रॉक्स हैं. एंड दिस लावा इरप्टेड समवेयर अराउंड 2.8 बिलियन ईयर्स अगो व्हेन द एरिया वाज कवर्ड बाय ओशंस. अब कैसा कवर हो गया था? टिल्टेशन व्हिच क्रिएटेड कटक शेल्फ एंड ऑल दैट टाइम. एंड दिस इज ऑफ व्हिच पार्ट? प्री-कैम्ब्रियन पेनिनसुला. जियो हेरिटेज साइट ऑफ ओडिशा. जियो हेरिटेज साइट ऑफ ओडिशा. समझ में आ गया? कहाँ पे? इन द क्योंझार डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स. सी दिस, ये वॉल्केनिक एक्टिविटी जो था व्हेन इट वाज कवर्ड अंडर द ओशन, अभी अपलिफ्टमेंट हो गया. इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेस, पिलो लावा ऑफ नोमीरा. पूछा तो यू शुड मार्क इट करेक्टली. इट इज subaqueous, 2.8 billion years old, in the district of Ncert, and it is in the ellipse. Old rocks, old rock structure. याद रहेगा ना, not for the mains but for prelims. Places in the news. Elliptical in the shape. जुरासिक एज, ब्राह्मणी नेचुरल अर्थ. जुरासिक एज मतलब समझ में आ जाएगा ना आपको, समवेयर ओल्ड वन. ओवल शेप. पेरिजीनियस सैंडस्टोन, कमती फॉर्मेशन. कमती मीन्स उस टाइम में जो रॉक बना था ना, उसको कमती फॉर्मेशन कहते हैं. इन विच डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स? सुंदरगढ़ डिस्ट्रिक्ट. The soft rock disintegrated, the hard rock remains intact. Places in the news. Geo-heritage sites. पहला तो है, अभी तक इसको they have been not been classified. Geo-heritage sites, which gives geological history of the state. कैसे form हो गया था? Old age, that is something 2 billion years. So this also gives some idea about 184 to 160 million years old. समझ में आ रहा है? जियोलॉजिकली सिग्निफिकेंट साइट्स इन द स्टेट्स. बायोडाइवर्सिटी हेरिटेज साइट्स तो 4 है. दीज आर जियो हेरिटेज साइट्स. जियो हेरिटेज. इज इट क्लियर नाउ? सम रफ आइडिया अबाउट द ओडिशा. So that's what I was explaining you. Eras आप देखोगे then only you will have an idea. नहीं तो simply मैं बताते जाऊंगा ये प्रोटीरोजोइक है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा. ठीक है. Now this is how you can find that. यहाँ पे आपको you will find certain areas. Ncert plateau. ईस्टर्न घाट्स के पास है ना. फिर साउथ में यू विल फाइंड समथिंग मलकनगिरी प्लेट्यू. ये पूरा ईस्टर्न घाट्स है. ईस्टर्न घाट्स है. एंड यू आर हैविंग सर्टेन हिल्स, नेयागम हिल्स, देन इंटरफ्लूज व्हिच आर कट बाय मेनी रिवर्स, ट्रिब्यूटरीज ऑफ मेनी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटरीज, जैसे भार्गवी हो गया, कुशाभद्रा हो गया, सो देवी रिवर हो गया, दया रिवर हो गया. दे आर ऑल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटरीज ऑफ महानदी. राइट. सो विल फाइंड ये जो है ना, इसको हम कहते हैं नॉर्दर्न कोस्ट विच इज नैरो. ट्रांसग्रेशन ऑफ मराइन, कटक शेल्फ, ट्रांसग्रेशन. समझ में आ रहा है? एंड देन यू आर हैविंग दिस, ये रिवर बेसिन जो है ना, जो छोटा छोटा माउंटेन बनाता है, इंटरफ्लूस, छोटा छोटा माउंटेन बनाता है. सो दिस इज योर एंटायर ईस्टर्न घाट्स, uplifted, western plains, plateaus, 2 important plateaus, Ncert plateau and Malkangiri plateau, central plateau. Right. ये जो है it makes 2/3 of geographic division of Odisha. Western rolling plateaus, coastal areas, फिर river flood plains, river flood plains. Is it clear? So you'll find the Jobi rivers, you will have Subarnarekha river, then Buddha Balanga river, then we are having Baitarni river, then you are having Brahmani river, then you are having Mahanadi river, then you are having Rushikulya. Right. 6 rivers which create 6 deltas. Right. Then वंशधारा जो है ओडिशा से स्टार्ट होता है, लेकिन आंध्रा में कोस्ट बनाता है. वंशधारा रिवर जो है ना, ओडिशा से स्टार्ट होता है, then it moves down out of Odisha and it creates delta in Odisha, वंशधारा. Then you are having Nagavalli, again Odisha से start होता है but it moves down. ये सब जो है it originate from which part? Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats. Some rivers originate in the Eastern Ghats. समझ में आ रहा है? Now, अगर आप महानदी रिवर देखोगे, Ong and they all are tributaries of Mahanadi. It started from here. ईस्टर्न घाट्स उठा है बट इट हैज कट दैट एंड मेड इट्स जर्नी, तो इसलिए हम महानदी को कहते हैं एंटीसीडेंट रिवर. Mahanadi is an antecedent river. Now in the same way you find Brahmani river also, it has cut the eastern Ghats and maintained its original flow. So these two are referred as the antecedent rivers of Odisha. समझ में आ रहा है? There are many rivers which originate from this region. यहाँ से भी plateau होता है, यहाँ से भी you will find these regions. Now here you are having Garjat hills, यहाँ पे राजमहल हिल्स भी मिलेगा, which are part of Chota Nagpur plateau, समझ में आ रहा है? So where we find many such things are there. ठीक है, ओके. See this region, Balasore हो गया, then बैतरनी रिवर्स का हो गया, small hill, small basin, गंधामर्दन पर्वत, ये जो है बड़ा सा प्लेट्यू बनाता है ना वेस्टर्न साइड्स में, हिली रीजन्स. एंड इफ यू सी द रीजन्स, एलिवेशंस देखिए, दिस एरिया यू विल फाइंड लो लैंड एरियाज, सेंट्रल पोर्शन इज अपलैंड रीजन्स, सो इट इज समथिंग लाइक दिस. दिस इज हाउ द सेंट्रल पोर्शन, यहाँ पे जो ईस्टर्न घाट्स है ना, अपलिफ्ट है up to 1100 meters, upliftment, western rolling plains, coastal plains, plateaus, coastal plain, hills, plateaus, rolling plains, rivers, floods, यही है आपके 5 physiographic divisions of Odisha. समझ में आ रहा है? And in between that you find the rivers which have cut them in the form of interflows. So these are the 5 physiographic divisions of Odisha on the basis of homogeneity, matlab how they look like, continuity. Entire state is classified into 5 physiographic divisions. ये जो है इट इज द लार्जेस्ट पार्ट, ये 2 प्लेट्यूज है, द सेंट्रल प्लेट्यूज. Now when you are drawing the map, simple सा बनाना है when you are drawing it. You have to put coastal region, ये है ना coastal वाला, चिल्का लेक तक, यहाँ तक. Coastal plain. The next one is the larger area, the middle mountains and highland regions. तो ये पूरा आ जाएगा आपका यहाँ से. The largest physiographic division. पिन टू पिन नहीं बनाना है, सिंपल एज इट इज, जितना इजी होता है उतना बनाना. 2 प्लेट्यूज, एक तो नॉर्थ है, एक में साउथ में. दिस वन यू कैन शो हियर एंड देन दिस रीजन, एंड रिमेनिंग इज द वेस्टर्न रोलिंग अपलैंड्स. वेस्टर्न रोलिंग अपलैंड्स. और बहुत सा एरियाज जो है विच इज बाय रिवर वैलीज एंड मेजर फ्लड प्लेन्स. मेंस में आप लिख रहे हो तो यू शुड रिमेंबर दैट कोस्टल, पूरा कोस्टल में है. देन मिडिल माउंटेन्स, ईस्टर्न घाट्स, इरोडेड पोर्शंस, सेंट्रल प्लेट्यूज. उसके बाद वेस्टर्न रोलिंग प्लेन्स। ये 10 मिनट तक नहीं बनाना है, लेस देन 30 सेकेंड्स। लेस देन 30 सेकेंड, यू शुड नॉट वेस्ट योर टाइम, पिन टू पिन नहीं बनाना है। ठीक है, द कोस्टल प्लेन, उसको ये कहता है उत्कल प्लेन। इट्स लेंथ इज 575 किलोमीटर, स्प्रेड इन 6 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स: गंजमपुरी, जगदीसिंहपुर, केंद्रपारा, भद्रक एंड बालासोर। It is from Subarnarekha river up to Rushikulya river plus Chilka lake, plus Chilka lake, वहां पे आ जाएगा। राइट, नाउ यहाँ पे देखिए, it is divided into 3 parts. ये नॉर्थ टू साउथ है ना, नॉर्थ टू साउथ, it is divided into 3 parts. The first one is northern part. It is very narrow. Northern part, it is very narrow, and it gives evidence of marine transgression. It gives evidence of marine transgression. याद रहेगा ना, मराइन ट्रांसग्रेशन। ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे यू विल फाइंड सुबर्णरेखा रिवर, देन सेकेंड वन इज बूदाबलंगा रिवर, and then third one is Baitarni river. Baitarni river. Baitarni river. Northern part. Narrow, very narrow. Marine transgression. कटक शल्प बोला था ना, यहीं पे कटक शल्प। Right. Then we are having middle portion, which is the broadest one. Middle portion बहुत बड़ा है, broadest one. क्योंकि यहाँ पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटरीज ज्यादा रहती है, broadest one. Right. Now this broadest region or widest one, it consists of the rivers बैतरनी के west south में, south of बैतरनी, ब्राह्मणी and then महानदी, इट इज ब्रॉडेस्ट, या फिर आप उसको वाइडेस्ट लिख लीजिए। महानदी डेल्टा है ना, दैट रीजन ब्रॉडेस्ट वन। देन वी आर हैविंग साउथ पार्ट, सदर्न पार्ट। ये इससे ब्रॉड में कम है, इससे थोड़ा सा ज्यादा है। इट इज ब्रॉड, वाइड है या फिर थोड़ा सा ब्रॉड है। wide and थोड़ा सा broad है, and it consists of both lacustrine deposits as well as river deposit. Lacustrine मतलब lake. So which lake I am talking about? Chilika Lake. Lacustrine and river. Now which river is dominant here? Rushikulya. Rushikulya. Rushikulya river. राइट, तो यहाँ पे लेकोस्ट्राइन डेपोजिट भी रहेगा एंड रिवर डेपोजिट भी रहेगा. सो नॉर्थ टू साउथ इट इज डिवाइडेड इनटू 3 सब डिविजन्स, नॉर्दर्न पार्ट, सेंट्रल पार्ट एंड सदर्न पार्ट. ठीक है. 6 रिवर्स, सुबर्णरेखा, पुदावलंगा, बैतरनी, ब्राह्मणी, महानदी एंड ऋषिकुल्य इन क्रोनोलॉजी. समझ में आ गया? दिस इज नॉर्थ टू साउथ. देन वी हैव द डिवीजन फ्रॉम ईस्ट टू वेस्ट. अंदर की तरफ आप जाओगे ना, सो यू विल आल्सो फाइंड डिविजन्स. एक तो है नॉर्थ टू साउथ, सेकंड डिवीजन इज फ्रॉम ईस्ट टू वेस्ट, दैट इज टुवर्ड्स इनसाइड. इफ दिस इज द कोस्टल एरिया, तो ये हो गया आपका नॉर्थ टू साउथ. देन सेकंड डिवीजन इज व्हेन यू मूव ऑन फ्रॉम here, ऐसे आप अंदर की तरफ जाओगे ना, so from east to west also it is divided into 3 parts. It is divided into 3 part. First part, second part and the third part. First part, second part and third part when you move on from east. Now first part कौन सा रहेगा? ओशन वाटर आएगा ना डेल्टास की जगह पे, नियर द डेल्टा, उसको हम कहते हैं सलाइन वाटर और सॉल्ट ट्रैक्ट. सॉल्ट ट्रैक्ट. saline soil, saline water. Is it suitable for agriculture? No. यहाँ पे you don't find any type of agricultural activity. नो सेकेंड एरिया जो है वहां पे थोड़ा डेल्टास का अच्छा सा डोमिनेंट रहेगा. वेयर यू कैन डू एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी, उसको हम कहते हैं एरेबल ट्रैक्ट, वेयर क्रॉप्स आर ग्रोन हियर. एरेबल ट्रैक्ट. Now, immediately यहाँ पे you will find eastern Ghats which are elevated one. तो उससे कम वाला क्या कहता है? सब माउंटेन ट्रैक्ट. सब माउंटेन ट्रैक्ट. सो ये थर्ड वन जो है सब माउंटेन ट्रैक्ट. सब माउंटेन ट्रैक्ट. राइट. सो दिस इज फ्रॉम बे ऑफ बंगाल टुवर्ड्स इंटीरियर. ये है आपका बे ऑफ बंगाल. टुवर्ड्स इंटीरियर. कौन सा? नहीं नहीं, इसके बाद ईस्टर्न घाट्स आएगा. सब माउंटेन, सब माउंटेन. यहाँ पे यू विल फाइंड ईस्टर्न घाट्स. सी इट इज समथिंग लाइक दिस. दिस इज ईस्टर्न घाट्स. दिस एरिया इज कोस्टल एरिया. दिस इज फर्स्ट, दिस इज सेकेंड, दिस इज थर्ड. यह है आपका सेंट्रल या फिर माउंटेन्स एंड हिल्स. फिर यहाँ पे you will find plateaus, and this is rolling plain. So it is something like this. ये हो गया आपका कोस्टल एरिया, ये हो गया आपका लार्जेस्ट डिवीजन माउंटेन्स, ये हो गया आपका प्लेट्यू, और ये हो गया आपका रोलिंग प्लेन्स. And then the other areas is flood plains of the river. Simple as it is. Is it clear? Saline water, arable tract, sub-mountain, mountain areas. थोड़ा सा slope रहेगा ना, gentle slope. उसके बाद high mountains, interflues. Then we find यहाँ पे interflues आएगा. कहाँ पे? Eastern Ghats में. यहाँ पे interflues नहीं आएगा. Interflues मतलब which have cut the mountain. समझ में आ रहा है? Then you are having plateaus, मलकनगिरी में है, and then you are having in the मयूरभंज region. समझ में आ गया? Then the western. ठीक है? Done? Now factual data. 3 subdivisions. The north coastal plain, then middle coastal plain, and then we are having southern coastal plain, which consists of the Rushikulya and the Chilika Lake, coastal areas of Odisha. North to south, it is hexadeltic region, and it is the rice bowl of Odisha. Now chronology में अगर आ गया तो सुबर्णा रेखा आएगा, बुधाबलंगा रिवर आएगा, बैतरनी रिवर आएगा, then ब्राह्मणी रिवर आएगा, then महानदी, and then you are having Rushikulya. Chronology. Northern part, middle part, southern part, along with Chilka Lake. ठीक है, याद रहेगा ना? सुबर्णा रेखा followed by बुधाबलंगा. Then we have बैतरनी, ब्राह्मणी, महानदी, ऋषिकुल्य. वंशधारा confuse मत करिए. वंशधारा starts from Odisha but makes delta in Andhra Pradesh. Is it clear? Now यहाँ पे saline area है ना, जो first saline tract. It means it is rich in mangroves. Now where do you find the rich mangroves in India? Sundarban, है ना? तो यहाँ पे भी you will find something like Sundarban regions. When we are moving from Bay of Bengal towards coastal area, first area कौन सा है? Salt tract है. It means it is rich in some type of saline waters. तो यहीं पे you will find something which is called as Little Sundarban. 4.8 kilometer to 9.6 kilometers wide. पूछा तो you should mark and write it very correctly for the mains. Physiographic division पूछा तो इतना ही लिखिए. Don't write research. Suitable for agriculture. Formed due to recession of a sea. Recession of a sea and coastal upliftment. In Mahanadi Delta, the salt tract is covered by a forest which is known as Little Sundarban. So Little Sundarban is found in Mahanadi Delta. Sundarban West Bengal में, Little Sundarban in Odisha, because of such types of physiographic division. Arable tract, richest agriculture region, because it consists of alluvial soils in the deltas, often flooded by the rivers in spite of levees and inundation. Levees means natural banks. And it is an area where always have a floods. So यहाँ पे Odisha always have the problem. One is cyclone and second one is floods. So disaster management में we'll try to understand how to make arrangements for that. Right. Then sub-mountain tract, zone of transition. तो यहाँ से mountain की तरफ आप जा रहे हो. You are moving from plain to the mountain region. Right. So deep ravines created by rivers. Foothills बनाते हैं ना. जैसे ravines मतलब चंबल erosion करके they will create bad lines. Soil erosion is dominant, steep slopes, predominant red soil, and patches of fertile soils are there. Simple. All these three belts are less noticeable in Rushikulya coast. South में ये तीनों नहीं है, but very predominantly you will find in the north and middle one. Is it clear? This is the coastal. Done. ये वाला region. Research कुछ नहीं करना है यहाँ पे. You have to remember these things. Coastal plain. You can classify them north to south, or you can classify them when you are moving from Bay of Bengal towards the interior part. समझ में आ गया? Okay. Now next is something which is called as the middle mountain and highland region. Highland region. Now remember that this is the largest physiographic division of Odisha. Largest physiographic division of Odisha, and here you find the upliftment of Western Ghat has been done. So Eastern Ghat has uplifted 3 times. And this is पहले में कितना 300 meters, second में 600 meters, third upliftment it created 900 meters, and those rivers which have maintained their original direction in spite of upliftment उसको हम कहते हैं antecedent, right? So here we find maybe veteran of UPSC. ठीक है, स्टूडेंट होगा कोई. Understand the concept very correctly. Focus here, leave it. You should identify priorities. कौन सा priority important है? समझ में आ रहा है? So Eastern Ghats, cutting and formation. Satkosia Gorge by Mahanadi, and then Brahmani rivers, antecedent rivers of Odisha. ठीक है? So Eastern Ghat is spread in 19 districts. And when we see that Eastern Ghats, it means that it is spread in large area and it is having interflows. Interflow मतलब cutting up of mountains. So river basins बीच में आएगा ना इसमें. So it consists of interflows. Interflows, the river basins, Mahanadi हो गया, बैतरनी हो गया, Salandi river हो गया. Right? So you will find many. So this entire middle mountain region, this is very big region, and it is made up of large amount of interflows. So hence it is subdivided into 5 different sections. इसका subdivision. It can be divided into subdivisions. North में you will find Simlipal and Meghasani mountain. नहीं, somebody वो कोई नहीं है ना. Average. So some areas you may find more. 1100. Third upliftment जो recent बना ना, it is 1100 meters average height बना. It has not stopped, still it is active. So that is average height हम कहते हैं उसको. So northern side यहाँ पे when you talk about this entire mountain region ना, hill area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions when we talk. Now the first one is Simlipal and Meghasani mountains in the north. Dome shaped volcanic activity, and here we find it is formed by river basins. कौन सा river basin आएगा यहाँ पे? Salandi and Buda Balanga river interflows. And here you have two peaks, Simlipal peak and then Meghasani peak. Two important peaks in the northern side. Then we are having the central one, Mankanja, Malaygiri, Gandhamardhan mountains. Central है ना वो बीच वाला, right? And here यहाँ पे polycyclic region. Polycyclic मतलब क्या होता है समझ लीजिए as a simple term. River जब flow करता है, I'll just explain you. When the river flows, it will flow only when there is slope gradient. ऊपर से river flow करता है ना, वो तभी cutting करेगा when there is a slope gradient. ये कब तक cut करेगा? When this is ocean level, sea level. Sea level तक जब बनेगा उतना ही cut करेगा, उसके बाहर तो it will not cut. So it means that यहाँ तक it will cut and it will make the land up to this region. Erosion, delta यहाँ तक बना देगा वो, ऐसे cut करते जाएगा, not beyond that. Now this is erosion where it has stopped. Now यहाँ पे और cutting करने के लिए क्या करना चाहिए? Either this land should make uplift, either this land should make uplift or this ocean should make down. Either they should be fall in the sea level or they should be rise in the land. अगर थोड़ा सा rise हो जाता है, then the river will start cutting that. ऐसे बहुत से cycles जब बनते हैं उसको हम कहते हैं polycycles. So these polycyclic activities are formed because of either upliftment of the land or because of rise in the water. So it has been shown there कि ऐसा हो गया. So this is where the central portion where we find huge polycyclic regions are there. Word याद रख लीजिए, but this has been taken place many times. And mountains here are in the north-south direction due to continuous fluvial action. Fluvial means river का जो cut करता है, right? And which has created many interflows in between. ठीक है? So this region is between two river basins. कौन सा river basins है यहाँ पे? बैतरनी and ब्राह्मणी. Interflows. बैतरनी and ब्राह्मणी. Right. So here also we find important peaks are there. Malaygiri, Mankanja. Right. So we are having these mountain peaks which are the parts of Eastern Ghats with northeast to southwest origin. ऐसे. Northeast to southwest origin. These all are cut by rivers. Cut by rivers. Factual data. Don't make much research in these. First portion, the second portion. Right. Then third portion is watershed. मतलब क्या? Elevated area between the two regions or interflows between Brahmani and Mahanadi, which has cut down. These mountains are similar to Baitarni and Brahmani interflows. याद आ रहा है ना interflows? Cut by the same pattern यहाँ पे किया हुआ है. Dissected मतलब erosion. More steeps, mountains are having steep slopes. Hills have gentle slopes. Steep slopes, gentle slopes. Continuous erosion activity of Mahanadi and Brahmani. These are the rivers which have cut the Eastern Ghats and maintained their original direction. Antecedent, बहुत erosion किया है वहाँ पे, right? And they reduced the mountain up to 600 meters. In between that, you are having elevated areas. Prelims में पूछा तो लिख लीजिए. Mains में पूछा, at least you mention the names. That is more than sufficient. Now after Mahanadi river, then you are having Rishikulya and Vamsadhara. Now remember, Vamsadhara originates in Odisha but enters into Andhra Pradesh. वहाँ पे भी वो cut करेगा ना, and where it has created hills and interflows in between them. Watershed. Watershed means elevated area which separates the two river basins. या interflows उसको ही कहते हैं. right? So here you will find the elevated areas which varies from 600 to 1000. These interflow stretches in the north-south direction with several peaks rising out of more than 1200. Mahendragiri peak, Devagiri peak, and then we are having the peak which is called as the Singraju peak, above 1500. Mahendragiri 1500. Eastern Ghats. Now Eastern Ghats का highest peak कौन सा है? जिंदागाड़ा, जिंदागाड़ा आंध्र प्रदेश में, आंध्र प्रदेश, you will find that. Right, now Odisha's highest peak is, no, don't confuse with this, ठीक है? Then the last one, Chandragiri mountains, Potangi Chandragiri mountains, south में आता है ना. So here कितना है इसका देवगिरी का? 1360. ठीक है, डन, ओके. कितना है? 1672. So highest peak in Odisha is Devamali peak. Now ये कहाँ पे? पोतंगी and Chandragiri mountains में. And again it is also the same, interflues. So Eastern Ghats जो है, it has been cut by many rivers when which has created the interflues. And in this region you will find shifting cultivation is dominant. Shifting cultivation. Another name for shifting cultivation is slash and burn or zoom cultivation, right? Zoom cultivation. Now shifting cultivation is one of the major problem in Eastern Ghats. Shifting cultivation is one of the major issues, problem associated with the Eastern Ghats, क्योंकि ये पूरे area में we find the dominance is seen. तो question पूछ सकता है issues associated with the Eastern Ghats and what are the steps taken by government. So government वहाँ पे क्या कर रहा है? ईस्टर्न घाट में दो इश्यूज है, एक तो इरोजन बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है, सेकेंड वन वहाँ पे यू फाइंड दैट शिफ्टिंग कल्टिवेशन इज बीइंग डन, सो दे आर ग्रोइंग अदर क्रॉप्स विच कैन स्टे देयर फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड, जैसे रबर कल्टिवेशन विच कैन मेक द वेजिटेशन वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग इन दैट, ऑयल सीड कल्टिवेशन वेयर दे कैन मेंटेन दैट फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. Is it clear? So these are the the largest physiographic division of Odisha. Then third कौन सा है अभी? Plateaus. Two plateaus are there, one in the north and one in the south. Right. In the western side of Eastern Ghats. Western side of Eastern Ghats. ये जो है Ponpach, Kyonjar and Palhara plateaus, Baitharni basin, and then you are having this Nabrangarh Geopur plateau region, Sabari river basin. So two plateaus are there in that areas. Now remember, plateaus are rich with minerals. Plateaus are rich with minerals. So this is a region where you find rich minerals are there. Bauxites का हो गया, then iron ore का हो गया. You will find rich mineral deposits are in this areas. Apart from that, plateaus are also suitable for agricultural crops. Apart from that, they are also suitable for agricultural crops. Agriculture crops के लिए. Now यहाँ पे you will find they receive the rainfall even during western disturbances. So India में you will find the rainfall during southwest monsoon, northeast monsoon, pre-monsoon showers and western disturbances. So these they receive the rainfall even during western disturbances. Right. Drained by Baitarni river. Orographic impact. Orographic मतलब mountain. Orographic impact. Orogeny mountain. So they receive rainfall during orographic impact. कौन सा? Southwest monsoon. southwest monsoon, and they also receive rainfall during winter. कौन सा rainfall? Western disturbances. Western disturbances. समझ में आ रहा है? So they are very significant in that areas. So they receive monsoon rainfall and they also receive western disturbances of rainfall. Rice cultivation ज़्यादा है यहाँ पे. You will find rice cultivation is there, and also irrigation facilities which are drained by Baitarni river. Then down that you are having Sabari basin. Sabari basin, right? So यहाँ पे भी you will have good amount of rainfall. This becomes windward region for southwest monsoon. Windward region for southwest monsoon. Now you should remember that any mountain area is there, the moisture laden winds अगर यहाँ से hit करेगा, then that will give good amount of rainfall, which is called as the windward region of that areas, suitable for agricultural, and also we'll find high quality of rice in this region. Plateaus. Now government is making more steps. यहाँ पे water का deficiency हो रहा है ना, so they are thinking why don't we shift these areas to oil seeds. इसको हम कहते हैं crop diversification, and this is also same with reference to the rolling lands, western rolling plains. समझ में आ रहा? So factual data, don't write in detail, बस इतना more than sufficient. Found in the western side of Eastern Ghats, eroded condition, the rivers which make them. Average elevation is 3,000 to 600 meters, 300 to 600 meters, and they are almost flat and monotony interrupted. Flat matlab upper portion, and interrupted means interflues, upland areas, and which have created deep valleys, something like this. ये valley बना देता है, then flat areas. So this area is known for agriculture. These are valleys. इसको हम interflues कहते हैं. Table land cut by the river systems. Is it clear? तो एक दो point भी लिखते हो, that is more than sufficient for your mains. Prelims में पढ़ लीजिए and write it in the correct way. Now the last one is the western rolling uplands. ये कहाँ पे है? In the western side of the Eastern Ghats, right? Gentle slopes, lower elevation, and their elevation is less than the mountain areas. Plateau से भी कम है. And they are product of river action. River action matlab erosion, river action, and flat in nature, the same thing, right? They are rich in soil nutrients, and they are suitable for rice cultivation, and in these areas you will find a rich amount of the deposits, mineral deposits are there, right? Now as these areas also have the shortage of water क्योंकि over irrigation हो रहा है, so government is planning why don't we make crop diversification. So that's why they are thinking to introduce millets as climate smart in that regions. Odisha millet mission था ना, so they wanted to introduce in that areas which can substitute the rain fed matlab which depend on monsoon regions. So that's where they wanted to change the patterns in that region. So when you're drawing in the map, 4 ही physiographic division दिखेगा आपको. एक है आपका coastal, then mountains and hilly region, then we are having plateaus, and then rolling plains. And the one division which is generally not shown in the map is the flood plains. जो भी rivers आता है, they will always create the flood plains in that areas. This is subdivision of that. Western rolling uplands है ना, उनका subdivisions. When we talk about that, RP, Rajpipur and Pantosh, part of these two rivers, Kol and Sank river basins. ये दोनों है, they are tributaries of Brahmani river. Then Jarsaguda uplands. Now this is known for rich mineral deposits, more specifically iron. Jarsaguda, uranium deposits, right? In the Ib basin. Ib is tributary of Mahanadi, right? And this region is significant for coal mining activities. Then Bargar uplands, Jira and Zona basins, small rivers, agricultural tract, more specifically paddy cultivation. थोड़ा सा backward area है, Balangar, right? Northern tail again is a tributary of, it is the longest tributary of Mahanadi. Rich in lateritic soils, right? So this is how we have to make the data. Then Bhavaniputna, and then we are having Malkangiri uplands. Last में ना Malkangiri uplands. Now here Malkangiri मतलब Vamsadhara, उसके बाद Sabari. Tribal sediments. Is it difficult? So that's why I introduced in the beginning कि interflow ऐसा होता है, so that you can remember them in the proper way. It is all about the river, and so majority of the areas in the Odisha are eroded by the river, which have created uplands in between. So the challenging part is remembering the facts. Concept तो है, लेकिन facts is something which is very, very important. So when you are writing, you should remember the chronology of the rivers, north to south कौन सा, in between कौन सा, Sabari river कहाँ पे, Vamsadhara कहाँ पे आएगा. Then that becomes a significant part of your reading. The last one is the river valleys and major floodplains. Mahanadi river, Brahmani river, Vamsadhara river. Now यहाँ पे you should understand that why they have been created. It is because of two things. One is that these rivers, they always create distributaries. And when they are flowing from the great height, Eastern Ghats, already eroded rocks are there. So they flow from steep slopes, and during heavy rainfall, always the catchment area is filled with the water, floods, Mahanadi basin ho gaya, right? So steep slopes, heavy rainfall, and already they are eroded one. Abhi wahan pe zyada soil nahi hai, already it has been eroded. So that's why they always create floods in the lowland areas. So when we take floods, we will discuss something about that. Right, so these are the 5 physiographic divisions of Odisha. Now, distributaries क्यों बनता है? एक क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया, समझ लीजिए. Why don't the rivers, या फिर distributaries ज़्यादा बनता है? Why don't the rivers of Odisha are unable to develop a strong delta? Why don't the rivers of the Odisha, deltas तो बनाया, लेकिन strong deltas क्यों नहीं बनाया? क्यों नहीं बनाया? See, मेरा क्वेश्चन समझ में आ रहा है आपको? The deltas have been developed by the rivers. This is the last and we'll wind up. ये current affairs है, थोड़ा पढ़ लीजिए. Tomorrow we'll continue. Something like अभी where they have talked about a program, the enhancing climate resilience, ECRICC, ये क्या होता है? Current affairs में है. Just read them, which has been created by Green Climate Fund. Remember, 2010 Green Climate Fund, initiation of Green Climate Fund, current affairs, not for mains. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, United Nations Development Program. In the coastal, not all 6, 4 districts. Balasore, Kendrapar, Puri and Ganj. restoration of that areas. Current affairs में पूछेगा तो लिखना. And it has received the first prize in 2025 regarding current affairs. Current affairs, right? बहुत सा areas है where I have shown them so that you can remember. Current affairs. Now, tourism facilities in Odisha, coastal. यहाँ पे you are having something which is called as vanishing sea. चंदीपुर सी बीच. वैनिसिंग बीच क्या होता है? सी वो डेल्टा का कल देख लेंगे. वैनिसिंग बीच क्या होता है? पानी गायब हो जाता है. पानी बहुत अंदर. लो टाइड. So we always find high tides and low tide. During the high tide, the water is pushed towards the coastal area. During the low tide, the water moves again back to the ocean. तो यहाँ पे low tide इतना आता है कि 5 किलोमीटर तक पानी it moves inside. Now always remember there is a time between one high tide and one low tide. कितना time है? पता नहीं. टाइड्स पढ़ा है ना? टाइड्स मतलब क्या होता है? We always find on daily basis. On daily basis we have high tide and low tide. Right. Now daily basis high tide and low tide देते हो ना? So which day is taken for consideration? There are 3 types of days: solar day, lunar day, and sidereal day. Solar day, lunar day, and sidereal day. अगर prelims में पूछ लिया solar day, sidereal day, and lunar day, which is the longest and which is the shortest day? Solar day is the rotation of an earth keeping sun as a reference. It is always 24 hours. Sidereal day is the rotation of an earth keeping distant star as a reference. Star as a reference. Now this will be smallest. It will be 23 hours, 56 minutes and some seconds. Now lunar day is rotation of an earth keeping moon as a reference. Moon as a reference. अर्थ यहाँ तक घूम के आने तक मून यहाँ तक शिफ्ट किया रहता है. Now to catch the moon, earth has to travel some extra. So lunar day is the longest one. Longest. So it will take 24 hours and 50 minutes to complete its one rotation with moon as a reference. Lunar day 24 hours 50 minutes. Solar day 24 hours. Sidereal day shortest day among all. Now when you talk about tides, इसमें कौन सा डे लेते हैं? सोलार डे, सिड्रल डे या लूनार डे? The tides are the direct impact of earth and moon, so hence lunar day is taken into consideration. Lunar day is taken into consideration. So it is the lunar day which is taken to calculate the tides on daily basis. Tides on daily basis, right? Now tides जो है ना, it is because of gravitational and centrifugal force, right? Now एक lunar day is how many hours? 24 hours and 50 minutes. Now when you divide that 50, 26 minutes. अगर 26 को फिर से divide करोगे तो कितना हो जाएगा? 13 point some change. So to avoid that, to calculate the tides, we use the timing 24 hours and 52 minutes. Right? ये हो गया आपका एक डे. Now half day मतलब कितना हो जाएगा? 12 hours and 26 minutes. Now the time between the two high tides is 12 hours and 26 minutes. The time between the two high tides at the same place. Now high tide मतलब क्या होता है? The water is moving from ocean towards the coastal area. इसको हम कहते हैं high tides. High tides. Now low tide is when the water is again moving back from coastal to the ocean, इसको हम low tide कहते हैं. Low tide means when the water is moving again back from coastal area up to the ocean. Now इसका half कितना होता है? 6 hours and 30 minutes. So the time between one high tide and one low tide is 6 hours and 13 minutes. And the time between two high tides is 12 hours and 26 minutes. And the time between two low tides is 12 hours and, तो यहाँ पे for 5 hours when there is a low tide the water moves away from coastal towards the ocean, तो उस टाइम में आपको बीच नहीं दिखता. So that's why we call it as vanishing beach. समझ में आ गया? So for 4 hours 5 hours वो पानी जब जाता है ना 5 किलोमीटर तक अंदर की तरफ चला जाता है during low tide, not high tide, during low tide. So the water moves again from coastal area towards the ocean side. उसको हम कहते हैं high tide and low tide. समझ में आ गया? So tides are calculated on the basis of lunar day, which is 24 hours and 52 minutes. The time between two high tides is 12 hours and 26 minutes. एक high tide और एक low tide में 6 hours and 13 minutes. तो यहाँ पे 6 घंटा 6 hours and 32 minutes the water will move down towards the coastal region. उसके बाद वो बहुत अंदर की तरफ चला जाता है. The coast is vanished. समझ में आ रहा है? We call it as something called as high tide and low tide. So during the low tide water moves back to the ocean. You don't find that. So on daily basis we are having high tide and low tide. On the daily basis we find high tide and low tide. High tide means the water is pushed towards the coastal. Low tide means again it comes back to the ocean. Continuous to and fro of water is there. उसी को हम high tide. Periodic rise and fall of water is called as tide. Periodic, ये periodic है ना, 6 घंटा 13 minutes periodic. So periodic rise and fall of water is called as tides. Right, it is mainly due to gravitational attraction of earth, moon and sun. समझ में आ गया? This is daily basis. Monthly basis में क्या कहते हैं उसको? Monthly basis tides बनता है, उसको क्या कहते हैं? एक तो daily basis है high tide and low tide. Monthly basis में भी बनता है ना? Spring tide, neap tide. Monthly basis नहीं पढ़ा? ठीक है. So monthly basis you will have spring tide and neap tide. Daily basis high tide and low tide. Difference समझ लीजिए. High tide में क्या होता है? Water moves from ocean towards the coastal area. Low tide में क्या होता है? Water moves from coastal towards the ocean. That is high tide and low tide. Now spring tide and neap tide. Spring tide and neap tide monthly में होता है. Now spring tide और neap tide क्या है? नहीं, अमावस्या पौर्णिमा रहता है ना. So during full moon day and new moon day you will find the water is moving more maximum towards the coastal areas. उसको हम कहते हैं spring day, spring tide, spring tide. When the earth, moon and sun are in the straight line, when the earth, moon and sun are in the straight line हम उसको कहते हैं spring tide, spring tide, right? When earth, moon and sun are in 3 different locations, we call it as neap tide. Neap tide. So spring tide and neap tide दोनों ही high tide है, but they differ in magnitude. Spring tide and high tide, sorry, spring tide and neap tide, both are high tides. Both are high tides. इसमें गलती से भी मत लिखना है कि एक high tide है, एक low tide है. Spring tide and neap tide, both are high tides, but they differ in magnitude. स्प्रिंग टाइड में मैग्नीट्यूड ज़्यादा रहता है, नीप टाइड में मैग्नीट्यूड कम रहता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे नीप टाइड में यू विल फाइंड अर्थ, मून एंड सन. अर्थ, मून एंड सन. सो मून का पुलिंग कैपेसिटी सन कम करता है, सो इट इज लो मैग्नीट्यूड. सो लो मैग्नीट्यूड हाई टाइड इज कॉल्ड एज नीप टाइड. हाई मैग्नीट्यूड हाई टाइड इज कॉल्ड एज स्प्रिंग टाइड इन द मंथली बेसिस. जब तीनों एक लाइन में रहता है ना, मैक्सिमम पुलिंग रहेगा, मैक्सिमम पुशिंग रहेगा. तो यहाँ पे हाई टाइड लो टाइड नहीं होता. डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज. डेली बेसिस में यू आर हैविंग हाई टाइड एंड लो टाइड. डेली बेसिस यू आर हैविंग हाई टाइड एंड लो टाइड, बट इन द मंथली बेसिस ऑल आर हाई टाइड्स. 15 डेज में एक बार होता है ना, अमावस्या या पूर्णिमा में, फुल मून डे या फिर न्यू मून डे में. ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर इज पुश्ड, वो कहते हैं ना बहुत सा पानी आ जाएगा, पागलों की तरह चिल्लाते हैं, बिकॉज ग्रेविटेशनल पुल इज मैक्सिमम इन दैट. सो ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम दैट इज हाई टाइड ऑफ हायर मैग्नीट्यूड. नीप टाइड इज ऑल्सो हाई टाइड ऑफ लोअर मैग्नीट्यूड. समझ में आ गया? वो मंथली बेसिस है, ये डेली बेसिस है. ये डेली बेसिस में यूल फाइंड आफ्टर एवरी 6 hours there is a possibility that it pushes back, which is called as the vanishing the part. So that is the meaning of this statement, right? So tourism section में आ गया तो you have to remember this. पूरी में क्या है, गंजम में क्या है, then केंद्रपारा. Just read them as a factual part. अगर पूछ लिया, write a note. Because of all these things only ओडिशा में coastal area ज़्यादा development हो गया ना, tourism हो गया, ports हो गया. When you talk about Puri region, you find huge amount of areas are there. गंजन में क्या है, you'll find olive ridley turtles and all, right? So in the context of Odisha, coastal region में you'll always find something which is very significant. Coastal region में you'll always find something which is associated with olive ridley turtles. क्या कहते हैं उसको? Mass nesting and breeding. Mass nesting and breeding of olive ridley turtles. कौन से दो जगह पे? Olive ridley turtles है ना, olive ridley turtles, olive ridley turtles, इसका mass nesting and breeding होता है. Mass nesting and breeding. Lakhs of olive ridley turtles visit there. इसी को हम कहते हैं अरीबड्डा. Spanish term called as Aribadda, right? Now this is dominantly seen in two areas of coastal. एक है ऋषिकुल्या, then second one is Gahir Mata. Gahir. There is possibility that they may ask in the prelims. तो ऋषिकुल्या हो गया, गहीर माता हो गया. Mass nesting and breeding of olive ridley turtles. Lakhs वर्ल्ड में सबसे ज्यादा यहाँ पे होता है. और टर्टल्स को ही हम कुरमा कहते हैं ना, तो इसी को हम कुरमा मेला भी कहते हैं. जैसे कुंभ मेला है, so this is also called as kurma mela. Kurma mela, kumbh mela. So last year we had a kumbh mela. So this is kurma mela which is held every year. So we'll start tomorrow. Thank you. समझ में आ गया ना थोड़ा तो, at least some idea about Odisha physiographic